Welcome to episode 1 of season 11. We're going to be talking about the differences between hacking and social engineering. I'm Steve. This is TQA Weekly. I am from the province of Quebec in Canada. Last year, millions of clients of Desjardins had their personal and banking information leaked, sold basically, to other people who were not supposed to have them by an employee who was turned with the promise of gift cards. Yes, I know. And that in itself proves that there are some security issues in that bank, but it was not a hack. Also, several years ago, there were breaches of accounts on iCloud. Yes, we remember these. These were the celeb nudes that were leaked to the internet. Also, just so we understand, not actually a hack, because neither one of these organizations had their computers compromised. What ended up happening is that a person was compromised, and that is the first difference between hacking and social engineering that you should understand. When you are talking about hacking, you're talking about hacking inanimate objects. When we are talking about social engineering, we are talking about hacking other people. In both cases, people were convinced to do actions that they would have not done in normal circumstances. In the case of all the celebrity victims, they were the victims of spear phishing, a form of social engineering. In the case of the employee from Desjardins, he was basically bought off for information, which is kind of like how businesses normally work, except that the business in question did not authorize the sale or know about the sale to begin with. So, how does hacking and social engineering go together? See, remember how I told you that hacking attacks computers and servers and all that? Well, you kind of need to know where all this stuff is on the internet. You can't pull up an address book of IP addresses, and IPv6 makes that even harder than IPv4. So what ends up having to happen is that hackers need to get the information from somewhere. Now, if we're talking about really big organizations, you're going to have to find an employee that you can social engineer the information out of, so that they can hand you over basically everything that has to do with operating systems used, the level updates that they are currently at, what kind of security systems they may use, such as like hardware and software firewalls, what kind of security paradigms might be in question, how do they get access to the passwords, or how are they even generated, that kind of stuff. In the cases of smaller websites, just knowing what the particular vulnerabilities, the known vulnerabilities of the software is typically enough, but that still requires them getting the information from somewhere. This information is often referred to as intelligence. Now, once you have the intelligence required to attack a target, you can hack into it, whether you get it off the internet because somebody else already obtained it for you, or you social engineer the information out of one of the employees or some disgruntled ex-employee. Now, that should be a little bit more than you're used to in hearing and understanding what the differences are. Social engineering, go after the human. Hacking, go after the computers themselves. That is the biggest difference between both. So next time somebody tells you someone or something was hacked, you might want to figure out, was the person themselves the hack or the computer system their data resided on? If you can figure out which one of the two was hacked, then you would figure out if it was actually a hack or a social engineering ploy. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, it means that you should definitely be updating all of your applications, your operating systems. Never reveal any personal information to anyone who cannot prove who they are. So you might want to think about that every time you get a call. And of course, always use two-factor authentication when available. If you get a two-factor authentication query on your phone and you aren't logging in, your password is compromised, change your password and make sure that you do not have any identical passwords or similar passwords on any website. That way, it's just that much harder to get into your digital life. Also, remember that certain things like two-factor authentication over text messaging is vulnerable to the SS7 vulnerabilities, which can actually intercept those codes very easily, actually. And we'll be talking about that in a later episode. Like if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, share with those that you think could benefit from this, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. Go to my website, tqaweekly.com, for show notes, other ways of subscribing on this show, and of course the contact form to email me directly. And if you want to see me play video games, go to twitch.tv/zaxis1981, and I'll be still playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.